You're listening to the WBT Podcast with Michael Lodge. Listen to all of our podcasts at www.wbtpod.com. Stay informed. Let's get started.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
And welcome back to another WBT podcast on business and taxes. This is Michael Lodge, and I'm glad that you're with me this morning. It's a beautiful day here in South Carolina. Bright blue skies, sunshine, a little breeze blowing, but it will still be up in the high 80s and about 65% humidity. So it's going to be a tough day to be working outside, which I'm heading to right after I do this podcast because I'm building a porch out there and I got to get that porch from hell done. Yesterday in the podcast, we talked about leasing tactics, what you can do to get a better lease. And then I promised you today that I would come back and talk to you about leasing versus purchasing, or purchasing versus leasing. When people lease a car, they usually have a 2 or 3 year lease. And automobile dealers love that fact because they know that that client's going to come back in 3 years with a low mileage vehicle if they have stayed with the 12,000 limit per year mileage rate, and they'll be able to sell that car very easily. The problem with you who have leased, you have to either buy something right then, or you have to lease another car, which means you have more payments. I tell you, I have been a stickler on debt, and I hate car debt. I have no debt on any cars. My cars are all in excellent condition. I maintain them regularly, and I make sure that they're in good running condition. Or even in inside and outside, I make sure that they're in good condition. So you have to make sure that we understand what the differences are between getting a car loan and the difference between a lease and which is better. So we're going to go down this, and thank you for the Consumer Affairs who have put out a list on the differences between these two, so it gives a good guidance. I love Consumer Affairs. I use them all the time when I'm making purchases on various high priced items. So let's talk about ownership first, okay? Ownership. And we're going to talk about buying first, okay? When you buy a car, you own the vehicle and get to keep it as long as you want it. Maintain it. Keep it going. It's debt-free after you've paid off that loan. Leasing, you don't own the vehicle. You get to use it, but must return it at the end of the lease unless you decide to buy it. What are the upfront costs? Well, when you're buying, they include the cash price or a down payment, plus taxes, registration, and other fees. On a lease, they can include the first month's payment, a refundable security deposit, an acquisition fee, a down payment, taxes, registration, and other fees. The monthly payments, if you look at those when you own it, when you're buying it, loan payments are usually slightly higher than lease payments because you're paying off the entire purchase price of the vehicle, plus interest and other finance charges, taxes, and fees. When you lease it, lease payments are almost always lower than loan payments because you're paying only for the vehicle's depreciation during the lease term, plus interest charges called rent charges, taxes, and fees. Now, when you're wanting to have an early termination, when you're purchasing a car, you can sell or trade in your vehicle at any time. If necessary, money from the sale can be used to pay off any loan balance. When you lease it, if you end the lease early, charges can be as costly as sticking with the contract. On occasion, a dealer may buy the car from the leasing company as a trade-in, letting you off the hook, if that's the direction that you want to go. When you return the vehicle, when you purchase it, you'll have to deal with selling or trading in your car when you decide you want a different one. When you lease it, you return the vehicle at the lease end, pay any end of lease costs, and then you walk away. Or go into another lease. Or buy a car. When you look at the future value of purchasing the vehicle will depreciate. We all know that. As soon as it drives off the lot, it depreciates. But its cash value is yours to use as you like. On the lease, on the plus side, its future value doesn't affect you financially. On the negative side, you don't have any equity in the car. You don't have any equity in that vehicle. When we talk about mileage, when you purchase a car, you're free to drive as many miles as you want. But keep in mind that higher mileage lowers the vehicle trade-in or resale value. I don't know. I've been looking at a lot of cars, especially here in South Carolina lately, and I'm seeing some really high mileage, but they're selling for good prices here. Even the used cars with high mileage, they're getting good money over here in South Carolina. Let's talk about leasing on the mileage. Most leases limit the number of miles you may drive, often 12% to 15% per year. Now, sometimes you have to negotiate a higher mileage limit to 15,000 miles a year. You'll have to pay charges for exceeding your limits when you turn in that car. When you own, you don't have to worry about that. Now, excess wear and tear. And I'm always worried about this because I'm always maintaining my vehicles. When you purchase a car, you don't have to worry about wear and tear, but it could lower the vehicle trade-in or resale value. That's why you always maintain. When you lease, most leases hold you responsible. You'll have to pay extra charges for exceeding what is considered normal wear and tear. So if you have any dings or dents, or if you've changed anything on your car, you're going to be in trouble. They're going to ding you for that when you lease. At the end of the term, when you purchase, at the end of the loan on that car, or the loan term, I should say, you have no further payments, and you have built equity to help pay for your next vehicle if you want to buy a next vehicle. On the lease, at the end of the lease, usually 2 or 3 years, you can finance the purchase of the car, or lease or buy another car, which means that you're creating more debt. If there's anything that you learn from this, debt is bad. Get rid of that debt so you can free up your cash flow. So now, if you're wanting to do any customization of your car, when you buy a car, the vehicle is yours to modify or customize as you like. Already doing so may void your warranty. But after you own the car, you can do anything you want to it. When you lease, because you must return the vehicle in saleable condition, any modifications or custom parts you add have to be removed. If there is any residual damage, you'll have to pay to have it fixed, and you'll need to file an insurance claim and pay a deductible. So those are kind of the issues of buying a car and leasing a car. Now, tax-wise, it depends on what you're doing business-wise. And that's why you need to sit down and talk to your tax accountant on what you're doing, what kind of a business you have, and how how much use you need of that car, you need to look at the tax consequences of owning versus leasing a vehicle on your tax return. If you own a business, it's not going to affect your tax return if you don't own the business. That has nothing to do with your tax return. But it does if you own a business and you're using that vehicle for your car. So you need to sit down and talk to your tax accountant and get a clarification of what he feels is better for you. So I hope that kind of answers some of your questions, and it kind of gives you a good look at what's good and bad of buying and leasing a vehicle. If you have any questions, send me an email at mlodge@lodge-co.com, and I'll be more than happy to sit down and answer your question, or find the answer to your question. We'll talk with you soon. This is Mike Lodge for the WBT.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.